You know what that is? That's a drug addiction.
You know what it is?
You're a drug addict.
It's a good Big Mac. That's what the hell it is.
It's a drug addict, man.
It's a good Big Mac.
You know, when we look at the immense global popularity of American products, you know, one of the questions is why? Part of the answer is we're selling America, and America as a product is a pretty impressive product. You know, it is a product that combines opportunity and some, at least, more social justice than a lot of countries have, and it represents a lot of pretty good things, you know, that you and I think most people would cherish. The other side is the discovery Americans made that if you sell to the 12-year-old, and thus to the 12-year-old in every human being around the world, you're going to have a much easier time than selling to the 30-year-old or the 50-year-old.
Coke's appeal is to youth. Nobody does it better. And the best thing is, at least from Coke's point of view, kids everywhere are starting to speak the same language.
Hi.
Hi.
What can I get for you?
Full Coca-Cola.
Oh, okay, sure.
そこには冷たいコカ・コーラが待っていた。
It can be argued that Coke, in a certain sense, represents the American dream because it's one of the most powerful symbols of our society and its achievements. It has become the epitome of what it is to be American, and therefore people who consume it feel that they are in some way taking part. They are consuming part of us. If you want to, you could call it a kind of symbolic cannibalism because they're consuming something we produced and becoming like us by virtue of it.
爽やかになるひととき。
In Mexico, unlike France and China, the consumption of cola meets little resistance. In some towns, it even has powers that Coke and Pepsi executives never dreamed of.
In Chamula, Coca-Cola has become a part of most rituals, including the healing ritual of the shamans and the purifications that they used to do with cacao. It's had the most impact on indigenous communities where its influence has been so great that it's become a holy water.
For generations, the Mayans used their own home-brewed posh to help them get in touch with their maker. Then gradually, cola replaces liquor. Something about the dark liquid, the green bottle, the fizz. Many Mayans believe it brings them closer to heaven, which suits the local bottlers just fine.
Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola are used as ritual objects, so they're consumed in large quantities. Those who provide it get rich quick and acquire more and more power. The political parties in power manipulated this by using the influence that the local political leaders had acquired from Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola to create divisions in towns that were highly unified, towns that had resisted the attacks of a dominant and overbearing civilization for hundreds of years.
When we talk about the power of multinational corporations like PepsiCo and the Coca-Cola Company around the world, there's a tendency to think in political terms they don't really have much power because, after all, how many tanks does Coca-Cola have? How many troops can PepsiCo put in the field? But of course, modern power is not measured simply by hard power. It's measured in soft terms. The capacity to influence culture, the capacity to manipulate human psychology and human needs, the capacity to dominate a market. Then corporations, arguably, are among the most powerful entities in the modern world, in terms of soft power at least, perhaps a good deal more powerful than nation states.
With a market value of $150 billion, the Coca-Cola Company is one of the world's most powerful corporations. From its headquarters in Atlanta, the company directs an empire of independent franchise holders, united under the most recognized brand name on earth. These independent bottlers purchase Coke concentrate, then bottle the drink locally. Coca-Cola always maintains it's just selling soft drinks and doesn't interfere with local politics. Sometimes this policy works. Sometimes it gets Coca-Cola into serious trouble.
By the late 1970s, Coca-Cola ran into a problem which they really didn't want to deal with in Atlanta. Down in Guatemala City, some of their unionized employees who were trying to start a union, began to be murdered.
In Guatemala, the independent bottling operation is managed by a Texan named John Trotter. Trotter does get involved with local politics, and there are three things he can't tolerate: Pepsi, communists, and unions.
His own employees in the Guatemala City plant tried to unionize, and he told them not to do this, that this was communistic. He blamed it on the Pepsi people causing the problem. There was an enormous furor about this internationally, and the people at the headquarters of Coca-Cola at first refused to get involved because they said, look, this is an independent bottling plant. We can't tell them what to do, and there's no evidence that they're doing anything wrong.
Sporadic violence escalates, more workers are killed, and still the Coca-Cola Company refuses to act.
Finally, a nun who had Coca-Cola stock went to one of Coke's annual meetings, and with her she brought the head of the union, named Israel Marquez, and he related to them what was going on. And he said, in Guatemala, the name Coca-Cola means murder.
Religious investors took labor organizers from Guatemala with us to the stockholders' meetings of Coca-Cola. We spoke to the stockholders and to the board and to the management. These labor leaders told their story and told about the fear that they and their colleagues faced every day, the fear of being disappeared or killed. While they were speaking, the chairman of the board of Coca-Cola, Paul Austin, smoked a cigarette and just put up with the fact that we were testifying at the stockholders meeting. It was a kind of a shocking disregard for the very powerful story these labor organizers were telling.
It wasn't until Roberto Goizueta came in 1981 that the situation was finally resolved. They never did prove conclusively that the man in charge of the plant had been ordering these murders. But they did help to buy him out. The company provided the money to help a Mexican bottler buy him out, and the murders stopped.